And we are back for our first Automotivated episode of 2021. JB, I am so happy to have you back with me. How are you?
Well, I am automotivated to be here because it's the beginning of the year and 2020 out of here.
It is over. It is done with. We are looking to the future. And what better way to look to the future than, taking the time at the start of the year to really look at your goals, figure out what you want to accomplish for this year, and, have a pathway to get there. I think the start of the year is always the best time to really take a good hard look at what you want for your business and what you want for your shop.
And that's absolutely true. And you know what? The beginning of the year is traditionally a time to reconsider what you're doing and what you're thinking about and where you want to be. It doesn't have to be, but it's the impetus for a lot of people to make changes. So that's why we're having this session here where we're going to be talking about some of the things to consider to help you make the changes that you need to do.
Yep. And I think you hit it right on the head. I think people are motivated at the start of the year. But one of the things that we're definitely going to hit on in our conversation today is goals aren't just meant to be looked at the start of the year. They're meant to be looked at all the way throughout the year so you know where you stand with them. But, before we go into how you're going to track your goals, how you're going to keep up to date with your goals, I think we should talk about first is the whole idea of creating goals. And one of the things that we were talking about, it's an acronym that we know and love, is the whole idea of SMART goals. So we're talking about specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely goals. And those are so, so important for any business, not just in the automotive industry, but any business to really take into consideration. And I know you have some goals that really stand out specifically to some of the shops that we're working with that they should be looking at every given year, but also, on a monthly, weekly, daily basis as well.
And that's so true. I mean, the SMART acronym that you just described, the first letter being smart. But anyway, the point being is that you can't just randomly say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So one of the smart things to start with is start looking at the different reports that you can run and running them backwards, going back through 20 and 20. And I know 2020 is an abnormality. Well, I actually said that. But the thing is, there's still something to compare about. And that's an important piece of looking at these reports, because if you set your goals way too high because you don't have anything to base it on, your chance of failure is really bad. It's really, it's going to happen. But if you see where you are and start making those decisions, hey, I can hit this because it's only about 10% higher or 5% higher than what I've been doing, that's what I want to do. So some of the suggestions that I have, and one of the basic things is the average repair order. How much does your shop bring in on each repair order that you do? And that is kind of like a good overall reading, because the average repair order is what feeds every other part of your shop. That's how you make your money, by repair orders. And that's where the money comes in. And from that point, it goes out in all those different directions. So knowing how much you're getting per car is a very important thing. There are other reports, sales by advisor. You have an advisor out there that's always out smoking a cigarette or doing something like that. Well, you might want to run a report, because you know what? That guy might actually be selling more than the person at the desk all the time. And what that does is it allows you to think and look and see what the big difference is, and maybe get the two of them to work together. Also, we offer, and I know a lot of management systems offer, is a shop summary report. And it gives you a little bit of everything that's going across the board, and there's a lot of good information. And as I mentioned, going back through 2020, and again, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Well, you got to look at it, but you're going to know it's going to be different in 2021. But you look at what you were doing then, and then start measuring, and I'm going to say weekly, because if you wait monthly, that's too long to start the next process. So I would start taking a weekly look at things using these reports, and even daily for average repair order, and then start looking at where you're at and look at where you want to go. And again, don't kill yourself. I mean, it's like some people say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. You're not going to do it all at once. You want to do it slowly and surely. And it's the same thing with doing the changes in your shop and running these reports.
It's funny you say that too, because I tell this to my team all the time. It's, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So having those realistic goals is very, very important. And you started to mention it at the beginning where it's you go back, you look at what's been done in 2020. I think one of the best ways to go about creating goals is also reverse engineering everything that's already happened, right? So, just throwing a number out there, like you had said, and hoping it sticks isn't the best way to create realistic goals. You might have long-term big goals that are a little bit more of, an anomaly when it comes to, a yearly plan to get there. But when you're creating these timely goals, they should be realistic. They should be a challenge enough to stretch you to make sure you're doing the right things and challenging your team, but at the same time, not so unrealistic that your team's going to lose morale, that you're setting yourself up for failure and you're making decisions based off of numbers that really just aren't in your reach. So being able to reverse engineer it, look at what's been done in the past so you know how to course correct for the future is huge. And I think that's such a great point that you made.
Well, you just made a really great point about reverse engineering. Many of us that are in the automotive field got our technical skills by taking things apart and seeing how they work.
Yep.
And it was something that was broke up front and we put it back together and figured out how to fix it. That was a bonus. So with that same attitude, look at your reports, look at all the things you have and see what happens when you take them apart and how you can put them back together. And the thing too is don't just say we need to increase by 5%. You have to have a plan on how you're going to get there. Yes. You got the tools to measure it, but what about the plan that you're going to put in place that's going to make that change possible?
Absolutely. And now, we talked about what some of these goals are. I know you mentioned ARO. We've talked about the shop summary, the sales by advisor. I think those are all really great measurements to look at and really great goals to look at. What would you say is so important now? We have our goals. How are we going to continue to measure them? I know, Bolt-On Technology, we have tools, reporting tools within our Pro-Pack product. But talk to me a little bit about the idea of reporting and how crucial it is in the time of goal setting and making sure that you're checking in on that all the way throughout the year.
That's the magic thing, checking it all throughout the year. My experience is that we used to have a Monday meeting every Monday, and it didn't matter what was going on. It usually was extra early before the customers show up, but everyone had to be in this meeting, and we discussed the reports that run from the previous week. And we would ask questions as to why this person dropped or what happened here and stuff. And that constant monitoring is what helps you look at the reports, because they're useless unless you're doing something with them, and helps you see where the problems are. And then as a group, discuss what it takes to make that not happen again. And that's the other thing, is getting the team buy into it, because when everyone's on board, everybody benefits. And lastly, getting those reports into place and having those meetings and keeping it going. It doesn't matter what you're doing, where you're at, you've got to be in the office at 7 a.m. All right. And doing that for over, they say 30 days makes a habit. Well, keep doing it and don't change it. Don't let anything get in your way. You're going to, there might be a customer screaming out there, but Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you're going to have to wait till we're done here. But that commitment on top of all the tools that we've mentioned is what's really important. Commit to it, stick with it, and get everybody involved so it's not a surprise.
Yep, absolutely. And I think what's really great about the oh my goodness, the PPP. We're talking about a different PPP today. The Pro-Pack product that we have is it allows you to customize your reports. I think a lot of times people look at reporting and, I'm in marketing, right? So there's 1,000 different reports that we're looking at a day based off of different platforms, things along those lines. And sometimes it can become overwhelming. There's so many numbers that you can analyze. There's so many numbers that you can get information on, but it's so important to customize to your goals. So that way you're not lost in an analysis paralysis, right? I think that's something that often really distracts people from their goals, but then also intimidates people because there's so much to look at. How do you take everything that it is that you have access to have it understand what it is for your goals? So I think making sure that you're customizing those reports is really how you're getting an A+ on reporting, because it's specific for what you need in order to run your shop appropriately and continue to grow over time.
I can't add anything to that. I can't add anything except for your trouble with saying words with P in it.
If it's not automotivated, it has to be something else. We know this.
Remember, the thing that everyone should remember, and actually it applies here, is proper prior planning prevents probable performance. I don't want to put that one word in there where some people might be upset by it, but there's the P's.
Those are the P's.
And measuring is what's going to happen. Hello? Hello?
Oh, we're back.
Yeah. All righty.
But those are the P's.
Please.
Please.
Well, maybe the internet's telling us it's time to go.
I think they said cut yourself off before you do anything that's too much. That's what it is. But as a recap, again, we're at the start of the year. Everybody's motivated, especially after a year like last year, to set up goals that are really going to transcend their business for 2021. So be sure to make SMART goals, that they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're realistic, and they're timely. Think of things like what your average repair order is, what that shop summary tells you, what your average sale is per advisor. These are all key points that are going to help you see what is going on in your business and how you can improve. But most importantly, make sure you're continuing to check in on all of these reports. Customize them to what they need to be to give you the most insight that you need on reaching your goals for your shop. But don't set it and forget it, because setting it and forgetting it will get you nowhere. You're never going to be able to track if you're on track to reaching your goals, if you need to course correct, if you need to continue with the momentum. But that's what that reporting is there for, to give you the visibility to know where you stand in the growth goals that you have for your company.
Well, again, I have nothing to add.
Well, JB, as always, thank you so much for joining us on Automotivated. We have another episode coming up in 2 weeks with a special guest. And then, JB, you and I are back here for another great topic. But let us know what some of your goals are for your shop this year. Again, we know that it's very much a different year. We're looking forward to 2021. We were excited to say goodbye to 2020. So let us know what some of your goals are after a tough year like last year. We want to know, and let us know what reports you're tracking. And we'll be able to give some insight in the comments. We also have a few great blog articles that can help you set up your goals if you need help with that. But in the meantime, JB, I'm feeling automotivated. How about you?
I am automotivated too.
Perfect. We'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for joining.
So long.